Imagine a country known for its vast landscapes, quality of life, and an open-door policy that has welcomed immigrants from all over the world. But now it's facing one of its worst moments because of this policy. We're talking about Canada, a dream destination for many. Over the years, this country has attracted talent and workers from Latin America and other corners of the world, which has fueled its economy and increased its population remarkably. In 2023, Canada experienced a population growth of 3.2%, the highest on record to date, surpassing 40.5 million inhabitants. Much of this growth came from immigration, both permanent and temporary residents. Last year, more than 1.25 million foreigners made Canada their home, a figure that underscores the country's openness to newcomers. Immigration Minister Mark Miller made a statement that puts Canada's reliance on temporary foreign workers on the table. According to Miller, Canada has become addicted to this labor force to meet its labor needs. Although these workers are essential to certain sectors, Miller also admitted that some industries are taking advantage of their presence to drive down wages. The numbers reflect the magnitude of this dependence. In 2000, Canada had 111,000 temporary foreign workers, but by 2021, that number had skyrocketed to 770,000, showing staggering growth. Many of these workers stay in the country for up to 10 months a year, working in sectors such as agriculture. Canada has established agreements with countries such as Mexico, Jamaica, and several Central American nations, allowing hundreds of thousands of foreign workers to arrive each year to work on farms. These agreements are critical to keeping Canadian agriculture up and running. Canada's Employment Minister, Randy Boissonnault, said that in sectors such as agriculture and fishing, employers face difficulties finding local workers willing to take on the tasks currently performed by foreigners. The reality is that Canadians are not taking those jobs, and that's why we have an agricultural worker program, Boissonnault explained. This reliance on foreign workers raises questions about the sustainability of immigration programs and the Canadian economy as a whole. As Canada seeks a balance between meeting its labor needs and ensuring fair conditions for all workers, foreign and local, the story of how this balance evolves promises to be fascinating. However, this influx of people has set off some red flags. Canada is facing a shortage of available housing, which could have a negative impact on its economy. This phenomenon is known as the population trap and could change the experience of those seeking to migrate to Canada. But what does this trap consist of, and how could it affect those planning to move to the country? Join us as we explore the challenges facing Canada and how this situation could influence the arrival of new immigrants in the future. Let's get started. With only 12 million inhabitants after World War II, Canada was looking for new beginnings, and to that end, the government made a bold decision to open its doors to immigrants from all over the world. Over the decades, Canada became a multicultural nation where different cultures, traditions, and talents found a home. This open-door policy not only enriched the diversity of Canadian society, but also boosted its economy by attracting talent and labor to businesses. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who took office in 2015, immigration policies continued their progressive course, increasing the admission of foreigners. Limits were placed on new permanent residents, such as the 465,000 visas allowed in 2023, but no restrictions were placed on non-permanents, such as foreign students, temporary workers, and refugees. In 2023, Canada granted visas to 454,590 new permanent residents and 804,690 non-permanent residents. These numbers are extraordinary and mark the largest population increase the country has experienced since records have been kept. However, these figures also bring with them a new challenge: the population trap. This phenomenon, identified by the National Bank of Canada, raises concerns about how rapid population growth could affect the economy and life in the country. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to like the video. It would really help us out. Alright, let's carry on. Imagine a country where the population is growing at an accelerated rate, exceeding all expectations. In 2023, Canada saw its population increase by 3.2% over the previous year. But while the country was experiencing a population boom, its economy was only growing at an estimated 1.29%, still awaiting the final figure. This disparity has put Canada in a complex situation known as the population trap. The population trap occurs when population growth outpaces a country's economic capacity to adapt to that change. Investment by businesses and public agencies is barely enough to maintain existing resources, and any improvement in living standards becomes a difficult challenge to overcome. According to the National Bank of Canada, the NBC, one of the country's largest commercial banks, this situation is due to a rapid increase in immigrants without equivalent economic growth to support the new population. This is the first time in modern history that our net capital stock per capita has declined annually, explains Alexandre Ducharme, an economist at the NBC. The net capital stock per capita refers to the average amount of production resources available per person, such as buildings, technology, and machinery. Preliminary data suggests that the final quarter of 2023 could be the sixth consecutive quarter with a drop in this index, a streak not seen since the 1982 recession, Ducharme notes. Unless we can get investment to pick up noticeably, it'll be difficult to escape the trap, considering the government's immigration targets, the economist warns. From the Department of Immigration, it's defended that immigration continues to contribute positively to Canada's economic growth. However, the NBC raises concerns about how the population trap could lead to a lack of jobs, pressure on public services, and housing shortages. The latter problem is already a reality. Over the past 6 years, population growth has far outpaced new housing construction, except in 2021, when immigration was limited by the pandemic. What does the future hold for Canada on housing issues? In 2023, Canada welcomed 1.2 million new inhabitants, an impressive figure. However, only about 200,000 housing units are under construction. This imbalance poses a serious challenge. For every new residential unit under construction, 4.2 people of working age joined the Canadian labor market. The years prior to 2023 didn't show such a wide gap, but now the imbalance has caused extreme pressure on the housing market. This is reflected in both purchase prices and rents, according to the economist at the National Bank of Canada. The country's central bank also pointed to the housing shortage as a major concern. In the last year, we experienced significant population growth through immigration at a time of constrained supply. This is especially evident in the housing sector, and in particular, in rents, explained Carolyn Rogers, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Canada. The average monthly rental price for a one-bedroom apartment in Canada reached about $1,610 in December 2023, a 22% increase in just 2 years. In cities such as Toronto and Vancouver, the price exceeded $2,000, according to data from the rentals.ca portal. If this trend continues, Canada will face a shortage of approximately 3.5 million homes by 2030, according to estimates from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. This is a problem that could profoundly impact residents' quality of life and the country's ability to attract and retain talent. Despite these challenges, the Department of Immigration maintains an optimistic view. They argue that while population growth through immigration increases the demand for housing, it also contributes significantly to the supply of labor, including in the construction sector, to build new housing. In response, the Canadian government launched the Housing Accelerator Fund in March 2023, with an investment of $4 billion through 2026 to 2027 to encourage residential building in cities. This initiative seeks to provide an additional 100,000 units across the country over the next few years, streamlining bureaucracy in planning and approvals. However, many believe that this effort may not be enough to offset rapid population growth. The future of housing in Canada is at stake, and it remains to be seen how this great country will navigate these challenges to maintain its reputation as a place of opportunity and quality of life for all. Imagine a country where international education plays a crucial role in the economy. Each year, Canada receives approximately $16.4 billion from international students, generating more than 200,000 jobs. But what really attracts these students is not only the quality of education, but the promise of a temporary visa that can eventually turn into a permanent residency. In 2023, Canada issued 560,000 new student visas, representing a significant share of the foreigners moving to the country that year. However, this steady flow of international students has begun to put pressure on housing, healthcare, and other services, according to Immigration Minister Mark Miller. To address the situation, the government has announced a new measure, Starting in 2024, it will cap for 2 years the number of new international student visas at 360,000, a 35% cut from 2023. This reduction will be distributed among the provinces according to their capacity to provide housing for new residents. The government has also launched a pilot program to encourage new citizens to settle in rural and northern areas of the country, where population pressure is lower. This initiative seeks to create a pathway to permanent residency for skilled foreign workers by distributing new immigrants throughout the country, rather than concentrating them in large urban centers with high living costs. While these measures may alleviate some of the population pressure in Canada, experts remain skeptical about their ability to fully address the problems of the population trap and housing shortages. Still, these decisions represent important steps toward a more balanced future for the country and its residents, both current and future. The 75% increase in the immigration population over the past 5 years has exacerbated the demand for housing, along with rising costs of building materials and labor shortages since the pandemic. The National Housing Agency estimates that 5.8 million new homes need to be built by 2030 to address this crisis. The proposal to reduce international student admissions puts the economics of universities and colleges in Canada at risk, as international enrollments contribute significantly to keeping study costs low for Canadians. Minister Mark Miller announced trial regulations on student visas, seeking to balance the influx of new students with the availability of adequate housing. The need to accelerate the construction of new housing to meet demand is emphasized. The housing crisis in Canada is a complex challenge affecting multiple sectors, including international students. Balanced measures and strategic collaborations are essential to provide effective solutions. Now, I want to ask you who are watching this video, do you think Canada can overcome the population trap problem given its dependence on foreign labor? Let me know your answer in the comment box below. And if you like this video, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and to leave your like for more videos like this one. With that, we'll see you next time.